Playboy, you made that beat.
Hey, we are back at it again. This is a quick segment that I'm dedicating to the Uncommon Camp. We have the owner and the young man that has really showed me the last 4 years. I'm definitely going to say this. He showed me that he has something special that not only for the San Antonio area, he's also done it for the Houston. He's also done it for the Dallas area, and he just done it for the surrounding areas outside of Texas, Louisiana. We're talking Louisiana. We're also talking Oklahoma. He's been to Arkansas. And what he's doing and what his niche is helping kids find their potential to get to the next level. And it is Coach, Russell Vanlandingham. Did I get that all right, Coach?
I'm doing great. I'm out here in the beautiful Dominion. They don't let me in here much, but my son Tate, who used to have him on your 7th and 8th grade squad. He's now full blown, giving up the orange ball for the white ball. Man, playing golf today. He had his first golf tournament, high school golf tournament.
Well, how's he doing, first of all?
Oh, he's doing great. He's been playing 2 years, but he's obsessive. Man, you can't beat the power of work ethic. So I got to give him credit. I mean, he never shot 6 hours of basketball, like when he liked it, but he didn't love it. So that translates to any sport. So once he started doing about 6, 7 hours a day when he first picked up golf by himself, we had a nice little talk. I said, I think you know what you really want to do. Why are you asking your dad? And ever since then, the boy just shot the best score on his varsity team. And you're familiar with Piper. Piper's huge. That guy, they're good at everything. And for him to be only less than 2 years in it, when a lot of his teammates have been doing it for 7 or 8 years, I mean, but he spent all summer. He didn't do anything else. So it does translate the stuff we're talking about. You're asking about Logan. You can pay for all the helping in the world, but Tate's been putting in. The summer paid off for him in his first tournament, but now he's got to get back to work.
Well, here, let's
the best scores. He shot the best score before at 79 for his team.
Let's shift gears to the orange ball real quick. Hey man, where were you at this past week?
Just like last year when we went down with your nephew, some other kids that you're down there helping. It's good for me to always go to elite camps. Like I go to Texas State elite camp, St. Edwards elite camp, any elite camp I can go to because with my contacts and those guys, it's a good chance for me to, recommend players to look at. I don't push them and I don't over promote them, but with relationships and knowing Coach Omar since he was a GA for over 20 years, now that he's a head coach, man, it's a good guy. I try to give him as many D2 potential level leads to invite. On the flip side, I like to go down there with my camp coming up next weekend to really look at talent without me running all over the gym and running it to see who has a chance, coach, a shot physically. And I invite them from the Kingsville camp. So it's kind of a win-win because, Coach O can't take everybody. And I got a great avenue to reach a much broader audience after that. So I wrote down 12 names and about 9 or 10 kids I recommended. We're down there. Go down there and Coach O's be able to take a closer look at those kids.
Well, I want to shout out the 3 guys that you mentioned that I know of, and that's Maxwell Doctor. He's from Johnson. Again, very long, very. He's worked on his mid range. I like to see a little bit more coming from his mid range. But again, that young man would love to see you working with him. Shout out to him and his Johnson crew. They're going to have a good year this year in their district 28. They should do really well.
He's one that I wrote down. Yep. I mean, I sent you 5 or 6 names that really stood out, and I hadn't seen that kid personally, and
yes,
I've seen I'm working with Daryl Banks and AI, the point guard, so I was kind of surprised. But his dad, who I introduced myself, said I guess they're fairly new to the area.
Okay.
And they haven't been here long. So I just hadn't seen that kid around, but he looks the part. And that's
Yeah,
always
he
intriguing
does.
to me
He
is
does.
kind
He
of
does.
figuring out through my camps. Now, what are you doing, not doing? Kind of, try to help the kids after the camp. But man, he's definitely looks the part. I mean, and like you said, Johnson's got some pieces.
Yes. Moving to Steele, District 29, Joshua Rice, new pickup there. That young man came from Wagner. He was hurt last year, so he didn't play a
Loved
lot.
him.
So didn't get to see a lot of him last year. I didn't get to see a lot of him, but I know he got a motor. He has a motor. He's playing next to Gonzalez there, Logan Gonzalez.
Yeah, I'm gonna brag
So
a little bit. I gave his dad a little crap because I when I first met Mr. Rice 2 years ago, he brought him out when he was a ninth grader to my camp at SAC. I man loved it, was all over it, man. So I've invited him to everything. And his dad, even if he's listening, he knows we were talking on the side. I said, Coach Omar came up to me when he was talking to me, came up to me in the middle of camp and asked me, who's that kid? They asked me if I've seen him in my camps, what do I think of him? I said, I ain't seen him in 2 years. You gonna bring your son to my camp now Sunday? I just said I love him. I never heard a kid. I said he worked hard, but I ain't seen him since his freshman year. You got to be real with real relationships. So Josh is doing some good things. He knows I know Logan. On the flip
well,
side, they said, hey, what do you think of Josh? I said, man, I ain't seen him in 2 years, but I like him as a freshman. I'm going to talk to his dad right now. So he knows getting him up there Sunday, show out, let me try to help after the camp. Like, how I do use my camps as kind of two parts out of 1 day showcase. So yes,
and
he stood out because of his motor, and that's a good start.
And it's good to hear one of the guys that I've been working with for the last year and a half, coming from Southwest High School, and that's Elijah Summers. Um, honestly,
Like him.
last year, last year was the first time I saw him. To be honest with you, again, been with the Southwest program here for the last 3-4 years. He's a
Is that where
2027.
Josiah McDonald was?
Yes,
Is
that
he at
is that
Southwest
is what
Baggage?
Josiah. Yes, that was. But he played freshman basketball, if I'm correct. Freshman, and I think he played a little football last year. So for me, I didn't get a chance to put eyes on him until this year. And again, I mean, he was a great pickup for our 2027 group over there with the Pro Skills family. And I really think that young man is going to be something special. Omar saw him, and Omar honestly he's the reason that 27, a lot of the guys off that 27 group got invited, because Omar saw him and was like, "Yo, coach," I was bragging on some of the guys. He was like, "Look, listen, I ain't got time for this. Hey, have your guys come to the elite camp. That's all I'm going to ask you. Just have them come, and then I'll get to put eyes on everybody." And so he's one of the ones that took up on the offer. So it's good to hear you mention his name, and that's great. And then I can
Yeah,
give you a few more
he was
names, but I'll
five.
give
He
you at
was
the
five
end.
out of he was one of five out of San Antonio that I haven't seen personally that I like, that looked
Okay.
the part, that I'd love to get out there Sunday. Because like you said, I have a better chance in an elite camp setting when I go watch these elite camps to just watch and evaluate instead of run and talk to the college coach on staff at my camps. You've been in my camp, so I have to do a lot of post camp evaluations, watch a film breakdown. But when I go to elite camp, I can just watch and really see players who are going hard in situations, who understand how to stand out and have some of the talent. So Elijah did fit all three of those. I didn't know he was at 27. He's definitely got a chance if he's got 2 years left. I mean, the kid's got the foundation. He's got to stay on the right path.
Correct. And then that's it as far as what we knew. You mentioned the Javante Johnson. I'm not familiar with that young man yet. And so, but at the same time, that's not saying, he can't be invited and he can't be someone you say, hey, let me get my eyes on. So those four guys are the ones that, the three of the four guys that I do know personally, as far as I've seen play a lot of basketball. And I think definitely giving you the opportunity to get your eyes on them, and just, and that's where my other topic comes up to discussion is about Logan Gonzalez. Again, we've been knowing him since he was a little guy. I mean, like what, eighth grade? When he came to that military city camp showcase I had. And remember, you talked
Yeah,
about
and,
him
and,
then.
and hey, I can stop. Hey, I'm like I said, I'm uncommon, and I appreciate what you said. I've stayed to my. It wasn't always, popular, but again, you can't change your experience, and from experience standpoint, my entire background is, coaching at the collegiate level and being, and again, you can't change my experience. So the experience part of it for me is, man, I've just been in too many boardrooms. I mean, everybody has a lane, and on what moves the kid's name off a board, what moves them up. I've used that experience in my background of being in that position so long to help players. The reason I said that, you go back to 8th grade, he was one of two players, got a lot of nice young talent, and this is different. And I'll tell you what kind of Coach Omar said as his ending speech. Forget what I said. I mean, I like these kids hear it straight from the source. They weren't there. But he's one that took at 8th grade my constructive write up. Because again, I don't. That's what I was doing. I wanted to be uncommon. I wanted to find kids who had a shot, young, not that are willing to work before they pay thousands and thousands for exposure. So Logan is a prime example of being a really good shooter with the foundation, who's just been really good over the last 2 years at taking the back end insight that was going to keep him. Could be foot speed, it could be rebounding from the guard position. The stuff that we were in a boardroom with Coach Talley, these kids don't understand when you got 4 or 5 coaches and their jobs on the line, 1 scholarship, 1.5 scholarship, 2 scholarships. It's hard to send that offer to you or to your nephew. I got to research everything. I mean, those are meetings, if that makes sense. So if I can get that early enough, when Logan in your 8th grade event, I remember his dad calling, "Thank you. Take your earrings out, son. Why you got your earrings on? You don't rebound. You don't." Certain things that I saw as 8th grade, and I saw some things he did really good. So that's fast forward 2 years later, and you got a kid who's soaked all that up straight from not just me, but the evaluations that college coaches help me do for players that have a shot. Assistant college coaches, that's what I do instead of highlight videos. We mentioned it. You want to learn more about it, we'll talk about how to get a hold of me. But man, that is what Logan's done each semester. And then when I thought he was a college level recruit, I called Sam and said, now it's time. Most people don't want to do that. They will start paying for exposures, 9th grade, 10th grade, and they're not even a elite varsity. So that's a perfect uncommon athlete. And they don't sign me. They sign players, but instead of profiles. And Logan is putting himself in position to have the knowledge of what stands out, what he had to do over the last year to start being more in the shooter. And now he's starting to get rewarded for it. And he still has 2 years left. I mean, we're still talking about what's the next step to low major. I don't push it or plan, but if that's your goal and dream, now here's what you got to do next. Here's my question marks. But he's still going and he's staying proactive. He goes to a lot of places, and that's a great way too. All kids need to stay proactive as they're trying to, seek out some exposure. But he just has a better understanding of what he had to do over the last year, and he's done it. He rebounds at a higher level. He's tougher. He's smarter on help defense. Man, there's a lot of little things that coaches look for.
Well, hey man, let me give you a plug real quick. So we're talking about 2 kids right now that came from the Uncommon program or Uncommon thing that I know of personally, okay? You're talking to James Livingston, and we're talking about Logan Gonzalez, both kids you both saw first at the 8th grade level. The 8th grade level, I don't know if you remember that. You had James, you had Lance Beagley, you had Javon Tolliver, and you had Dana Schumacher's son there, and that one little thing you did for me, remember?
James worked the hardest. I mean, he's 8th grade. He's 8th grade. I did a little skills test. But I'm looking at who's going the hardest and attacking it, not looking at whose form is great or who's dunking or who can touch the goal. And again, but James did that in 8th grade. That first time I did a workout, you guys, and that's an early sign. Everybody wants to play college as the years go on, and it gets it gets nitty gritty, and you're not getting the exposure you want. That's when who's going to go behind the scenes and keep working. Man, I've learned from my champions, and I even learned when I was a recruiter, man, on guys that are easy to like, that I kind of help players understand. You got to get them to like you first, then they need to figure out what you can do. You got to be a player. Let's call it like we see it. But if you know how to stand out and you know what they really look for, if you're not on every radar, man, that's what I try to do to help players be on the other side. And some guys do it naturally, but some do it. I've done it after, they get that first call when they start doing it. Sometimes, like I said, faith is an interesting word in this world, and trust. But once a kid gets a call, man, now they may be cutting every time without the ball. Now there may be like that first, it takes one call sometimes to say that does work. So, but James was a perfect example of a kid in 8th grade. It's not hard to identify who's really putting in and listening and paying attention, even at that age, and who's just out there. And it separates over 3 or 4 years. So, congrats to James and Logan and the Max George kid. Even as a walk on, I saw him out there. That's awesome for that kid.
And I just want to give you your flowers, because again, I told you we don't do it enough here in San Antonio to give programs and give people who's doing right by the city. Again, we had multiple conversations about that, and leading up to now, where I will say the uncommon approach, I've seen it with my own eyes, and this is why I want you part of my platform, the Super Sports Media family, just because I believe in what you're doing, and you are helping kids reach a potential and their full potential. Excuse me. But at the same time, it's a business too, and that's where a lot of people get the line screwed. You know what I mean? Because no one wants to look at this as a business, and unfortunately, this is Super Sports Media is a business. Pro Skills is a business. You are a business, and there's certain pay points that we have to make sure we match and we meet. And so, with that being said, again, I just want to give you a plug in your flowers and say, hey, man, I think you created a beautiful platform for not only kids that we know, but kids that we don't know to get to the next level. And you've helped so many kids within the last few years. Again, I called you a few days ago before we got here, and you have a list of kids out of Houston that you helped already. That your list was like what, 30 kids, if I'm correct?
Yeah, I mean, but Houston's a huge market, and man, I've been blessed to work with the guys that when I was coaching college. I mean, again, you got to stay credible, and I don't ever. But if somebody's, like Mr. Hicks was credible for so long when he just had a little notepad when it was 97, and I'm driving a long way, and there was guys that had notepads, and I never burnt bridges, Coach Talley, but man, I never called them for a lead again. I mean, they didn't know A, B, or C. So I think again, everybody's experiencing lane and staying. Um, I appreciate you giving me props for what I created. I really just years ago had a vision. How do we get the players back that are serious to not pay for $3,000 of exposure? And I'll tell you, and get back to what they have to do to gain exposure. What stands out, and it was tricky. If you think about me on one end telling Coach Talley's son, so it's for a certain kid, but it's been result-wise, it's been highly effective for what I try to deliver. And it's been highly effective for the elite, good high school player when I have time on my side and they get kind of what I do with my entire program year round outside of camps. It's been great to see them grow their own game. If you elevate certain areas of your game, then your recruitment starts to increase. And then at the end of this thing, Coach Talley, when I push the hardest kids, man, just my experience at being under 4 different coaches, 4 different styles of play at 4 different levels, really with that experience, it's about fit then. So if there's 500 D2 players, you got to know what Coach Omar's system is as opposed to Midwestern system for me to really put the right hands and the right kids into the right hands and continue to help both sides. And that's when I say spring is about fit. And I think that's just so important for players to understand when they leave Showcase. I wonder what those coaches are thinking. I let them know, man, we have evaluations, college coaches. Like you said, I have coaches speak to players. People don't know that. I'll pay them $500. Man, the game needs help. I use that word grow the game because Larry Tidwell is in the Hall of Fame on the women's side. I just always remember him. He's the greatest man of the world, nicest man. You just know he'd help kids. He'd run clinics for free. Like he did everything for his background, like being one of the all-time winningest coaches in Division I history. Like this is approach to helping people always stood out to me and going out of the way. And he always had that little term, we're just here to grow the game, coach. So I've been using it ever since. I stole that one from Larry Tidwell on the women's side. Said, grow the game. Just keep growing the game, coach. And that's really all I try to do. And stay in the lane for the serious player that's dedicated. You don't have to be a 25-point guy or rank. If you have hunger, I'm a good program for you. I mean, real hunger. I didn't know how good James was going to be. I'm looking early at them young guys. Who's really going at it? Tate hit 600 balls a day when he picked up golf. Said you never did that basketball. If your dad took you, played your heart. You know what you're going to do. I mean, tell me in 3 days, son. Pray on it. Bam. Rest is history. Now I can tell him when he starts to complain or to no, that's what you chose. So I just think the uncommon approach is a balance of getting a lot of information straight from college coaches outside of me that help me with what I do on the back end, even at elite camps. Like Omar would send me 4 things on kids, and they'll say, if he can talk louder, he may have stood out. I don't know who he can guard yet. If I can give that to you as a junior, Cameron Roper, and Cameron's serious, that's golden nuggets. That's what these kids understand. That's what you really want to know. You go to a lot of gyms, that's what the guys that have done well. Give the players credit. Getting them looks is the easiest part because I kind of factor and track their progress like I'm recruiting them. That's it. Once they start playing at a D2 level, I got no problem when you see my tweets because I had to offer D2 kids to start pushing them there. And so it's kind of tracking progress and giving them a plan to get from to their highest potential. So, but it was good to see a lot of San Antonio kids down there at the Kingsville camp and a lot of young guys, man, because, I mean, you got to start early. I think I lost your sound a little bit, Coach.
And, yep, you did. You
Oh, there
did.
you
Here we
go.
go. Here we go. Here we
Now.
go. Hey, since we're talking about getting in early, what's going on either this weekend or next weekend? When's your next event?
Well, Wednesdays I've been running this. I
All right.
don't
So
want to
what's
be in the
Wednesday? So what happens at Wednesdays? How do I sign up
Wednesdays
Wednesdays?
I've been I'm doing these college prep workouts, and a parent asked me about them at the actually at the elite camp at Kingsville. So, and I started doing it just because I had enough San Antonio guys now that are really relevant and have a real shot. So it's my way just to get them to the first practice. It's not necessarily skills and drills. There's trainers for that. Mine's more about concepts, how to stand out. If that's, I mean, this is Daryl Banks and AI and Logan Gonzalez and Ethan Lasario and man, Eli Jones, kid I've grown to love. I mean, he's got a lot of work to do, but he's starting to get a little love from Gasso. It was great to see 8 of those guys that got love and mentioned are in these Wednesday workouts, but they're open. I think 2 of the people that watched the show last time that had military ties brought their freshman and sophomore young kids. They're staying in there. They're big boys, but it's a little different training. They got to stay with me all week. After each session, I give them a kind of a college workout from Texas State or whatever that is for shooting. You ain't gonna pay me a lot of money. Now again, who's gonna go do it? And I always said this with these kids. I got all of y'all have aspirations, but when y'all leave here, what I love about basketball, Coach, is one kid can do it 5 hours a week. One can do it 5 days a week. One can do it 3 times a day, 5 days a week. I don't know what kids you are, but I'm going to give you the same resources after each workout that matches what we talked about, worked on, and some concepts.
Where's the location at?
It's at German Center, 7 to 9 o'clock, uncommonbasketball.com. A single session is $50. If they come to the first one and like it and they think it's for them, I say, see if it's for you. You go to a lot of things. It's just an addition to getting you ready for that first practice. But if it's for you, I discount. You know me, because I'm not going to sugarcoat the first workout. I say if it's for you, then great. So if they like it and they think it's best for their son, then I discount the last 3 workouts, and it's $120 for the rest of the month. I can't make it any affordable, is what I said at the last camp, for players that are serious. If you want to play down but for that kid, then I'm going to do everything in order to make it affordable. And I ain't trying to be a saint, man. I'm out here at the Golf and Dominion, man. The demographic of basketball, a large population. I don't care, man. that needs the real help, if they're going to help themselves and put in the work, and I can see that, I'm going to make sure it's affordable for that mom and that player
Right. Right.
because the game needs help. And if that player's serious and you can get him his grades better and outside his jump shot, and I can help coach on the back end, help the family through. They don't understand financial aid assessment. I do all of that.
Right.
Everybody pays for profiles. The player cards are an easy way for them to find Logan's leads. I got 3 texts today about Carmelo Martinez that are D3 coaches. His player card has film on it. I just checked it. I just texted. They got to like Carmelo, but they called, asked. It's just an
Right.
easy way to share leads. But
So what else do you have besides
that's it.
Wednesday?
So,
Are you doing any other days?
I mean, the big thing is I don't want people to miss. I think 10 San Antonio kids I can name off the hand came to my spring camp last year, seniors.
Okay.
Seniors. And you know my camps, and you got to be college ready. And a senior, I don't prep anything. It'll be fake. That's where I get the most coaches to come out.
Right.
If I have 3 college coaches, now it's about, let's who's college ready. You better know what's important. You better know how to stand out. You got 1,000. So I saw 8 kids that broke my heart last year that physically could be playing ball somewhere, but they waited till my very last camp thinking recruitment as a one-day thing. Uncommon set up differently. My last camp for Austin and San Antonio kids in Buda, Sunday, October 6th, from 12 to 5 p.m. I know some kids have some games, but last year the high school coaches know my TABC. They let them miss one game. So I'm not saying miss a game, ask your coach. But if you're a senior or junior in that space, it's my last chance to help you. And if I can see you early, I set up one-on-one free calls to give you an evaluation. I show the college coaches on staff evaluation to you. That's, again, great insight before the season. And if you finish on top, I'm going to keep it real simple. Omar's message afterwards was great because if you finish on top, that means you can win. My camps are set up to see if you win or lose. And I say that because the message at the end, the kids were asking the coach Omar what he looked for. And he's a head college coach now. He was a GA. I remember when I was assistant, and Omar said it real simple. I'll take a kid that averaged 10 points a game, and I think this is universal. Players need to hear this. That's in a winning coach that's helping his team win. I ain't no dummy. You got to, if he can play. Then a 22-point guy who's under 500 and lose. It's too dangerous. They need winners. So you came to my camp and you see it's designed to be fair. The last 9 standing are winners. They either the first 3 hours of they bring defense, but you have to win at my camp. Not because it's hard, because college coaches look at you twice as hard. Omar said that. And the second thing Coach G said, Coach O said down there afterwards, after I spoke a little bit to the players, was I think it's great for them to hear this. All right, exposure's over now. Your select's over. Start getting ready for your high school season if you're a senior. Start getting ready to have a fun year. It's going to be gone. Exposure will come based on performance, but it's time. Kids, after these next couple of weeks when practice starts, don't lose that love for the game and your senior year's over and you've been worried about exposure all year. Go play. They'll find you. Get the right people in your corner to help you be found. But go play basketball, especially if you're a senior. 30 games goes quick, fellas. And star in your role. Enjoy the season. And that's where I believe, too, because that's all you hear about. Exposure is a byproduct of performance. It's a byproduct of progress. And a lot of times, a byproduct of can you help your team win? And are you helping your team win? Are you making winning plays? Those things stand out to college coaches outside of talent.
Well, look, Coach, we got to wrap it up. One, I want to say thank you for giving me this time. Again, I want this to be a weekly thing. I want the Uncommon approach to be something that's on and partner with the Super Sports Media family and on our platform and our network to where as though, hey, man, you get because what you're doing is important. We need your aspects of what you're doing because, again, you're right, because I'm not going to fib to you that one recruiting service that they have that that a lot of people use. I don't want to say no names, but again, we all use. And again, I don't even know the people on the other end of that phone call when I'm calling them. At least when I'm talking to you, I know who I'm dealing with. I know you're going to shoot it to me straight, and you're not going to sugarcoat anything. Again, like I said, for the last 5 years, I
I
don't think
worked
one
really
time you
hard.
sugarcoated.
I worked really hard not to be a recruiting service. And like I said, some people can tie that in, but unless you really like Logan knows what I do. Logan's in my program.
Right.
Logan knows what 80% of the program really is.
Right.
Hitting cuts the balance for me is 30 years of relationships is 30 years of relationships. Some people use those just to help kids get looks.
Right.
I'm still an old coach at heart. I have two aspects. I like to coach them on the back end. I like to do film sessions with them. I like to make sure they understand everything. They got to continue to grow. When I get them looks, I like to get on the phone with them and say, remember, man, we have an evaluation from that college coach. These two things were not very good. These two things, you do great. If you ain't better at these two things, stay away from them. Star in these two areas. But, man, that's the uncommon approach. As you get habitually better, but you can't do that at a spring 1 day win at all costs and expect to offer with today's portal and terrain and all that. So that's going back to Logan, who's gotten enough love. He just has had both over the last couple of years and increased his own recruitment by being both of them. So Sunday, it's going to be, again, 12 to 5. It's open to 25s through 27s, but I highly encourage 25s and 26s that are all district relevant guys about to have big roles this year. Even if you weren't a big role last year, you know, if you're in that start lineup, you know if the ball's going to be in your hands this year. This is the camp to come to. We try to discover talent. We try to get you on the right radars in the fall. And I'm close enough to San Antonio and Austin guys that I can live scout. You're out there working and helping the community in your way. And I think it's awesome. And you're working with a lot of coaches and getting coaches on here to talk basketball. And I appreciate you having me because that is what I could do for local kids. I'll go to as many live games as I can and I'll write notes up and I'll email them. I don't charge them for that, coach. I'll go email. I'll sit at the very top stands. And I'm writing the same notes I was when I was at Texas State with my job on the line. I had to go have a meeting that night. You think they get those notes? Knowledge is power, man. I've seen
you stay on it.
That's why Josh Rice, who's been invited 1,000 times, man, he's close, but he ain't there yet.
Right.
I got asked about him, and I'm gonna say, Josh, you can come out Wednesday and get a workout in. Let's catch up, and definitely get there Sunday so I can help you. And I just about exposure. I can help you after that in-depth look after 5 hours of moving forward, what you got to do and where you're at and get the right eyes on you this year. He's not done. He's young.
So the 7 to 9, that's Wednesday at the Gervin Center.
Gervin Center.
Right.
Those are open to San Antonio kids that are elite.
What's the max we can? What you turn it off at? What's the max number?
I haven't got past 24 yet. So if I had 24, we got like 12 that have come to every single session. And again, Ethan Osorio hasn't missed a thing. A kid from Roosevelt.
Yeah, Roosevelt.
I'm gonna tell you right now.
Great shooter, by the way. I know you don't even know that.
Yeah, as I said, that's the obvious. But I'm gonna tell you right now, he's been at 9 workouts. 3 of the assistants asked who he was at the Kingsville camp. I'm about to give him love today. That was the best I've seen him playing. His defense is a much higher level. He was vocal. He was understanding what he did best. And they didn't know he was one of the kids I said to invite. I ain't over there pushing him. I'm sitting like last year. There was kids from Dallas, but Ethan had probably the best camp of any player. Any player, in my opinion, of how locked in he stayed in other areas outside of shooting. That's the uncommon approach. So he's got 5 months. It's going to be a process, but I felt very comfortable and excited for Ethan based on how he approached that workout as opposed to 8-9 weeks ago when he was a shooter.
Right.
And so, man, I could see him having a big year. Not just because, again, one day, I just see it. He's slowly understanding what level he has to play out outside of being a good, solid San Antonio player. There's a lot of decent. You know what I mean? So he's a great one.
Right. Well, hey, look, October 6th. That's this Sunday, 12 to 5 at the Beautiful House, is what you said?
Beautiful House. I already have 3 college coaches locked into work. I mean, they're local. I mean, JC guy, NAI guy, and a D3 guy. And then I've had 2 or 3 that are pretty much trying to recreate their culture at Southwestern and some other places that are going to be coming out for the game portion. So that's a lot of eyes. I typically 40, 45 players. I think we got about 18 signed up. So if you're a San Antonio kid right now, that's a junior or senior, especially a senior that ain't getting a lot of looks, but you're going to be all district on event. Come to the camp, sign up, go to uncommonbasketball.com. You won't regret it.
Can any 2024 sign up? That's here locally. That's still probably playing. At some of the junior colleges.
I don't mind
here.
If with a prep or a post grad with all the rule changes. Absolutely, I just say if their grades are in order. I've had kids that were misled and sent out, and then you know me, I'm going to check and say, let's get a call if the talent's there, and they need 9 hours. It's what, again, there's a lot of stuff that factor in outside of a jump shot. And so I just say eligibility wise, if they're 1 year post grad or prep, if they want to attend in serious and their grades are in order, then yes, they can attend. Coaches are going to need players at mid-season, even if they have to redshirt them. And then, the portal starts rolling around in the spring. So,
well, hey, man.
Sure.
Well, I appreciate this time. And again, thank you again. Till next week. Same time.
All right,
if
Coach
you can,
T.
if 2 o'clock, if you can schedule me in 2 o'clock every Monday, we'll get on the call and just make sure we make this a regular thing. And this will air tomorrow, no later than tomorrow morning. Okay?
That's awesome, man. And I think one time, if you want to get to when I start getting these coaches, after their practices start in mid-October for universities, I think it'd be pretty cool, man, if I can get on one of your couches, man, like Mike Daniels. If I can get a couch spot, I think the smart thing is I'll get like the number 1, number 2, number 4, some of my top buddies in college and get me out of the way. And man, these kids need to hear it straight from the source. Even though I was a long time coach, man, I can get guys on some guest speakers, man, and get them on there.
Let's do it.
I'll tell them some red flags and green flags because parents need to know.
Players
need to know. And we can do some of that with some of the guys that I think are the best in the business right now that are rising coaches that really can give you some real nuggets, and help these parents and players, understand visits, tryouts, elite camps, just the whole gamut of what being in that seat looks like.
Sounds good to me, Coach. And again, once again, thank you again, man.
All right, Coacher. See you, my man. Take care. I'm going to go talk to Coop now, and then we'll get out this golf course and get back to the office and start working camp invites.
Let's do it.
But any of your kids that like Elijah, please tell them don't miss this if they can get out there. Those kids out of the Kingsville, man, it's open. I want San Antonio and Austin players at this camp.
All right, we get it. All right, Coach. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thanks, sir.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.